The answer is yes. So would Paddock have been able to get financed today? Yeah, the environment is not that different. So we didn't get financed from a major production company or Hollywood or like anything like that. I don't really go into too much about our financing just to respect the investors because that's just the agreement that I have. But there's nothing's different. Even with all the banning, it's a little bit of a tighter environment because you're getting more the Amazons of the world and whatnot are cracking down on content and you know to the fact is the person whoever this hypothetical investor would be the same people that invested in it 2 years ago, a year ago, really a year ago. Like we had, what day is it? It's like February. I hadn't even left the State Department this time last year. I mean, I made this movie in less than a year. It's insane. It's insane how fast I made this movie. It's really good to have partners with totally unrealistic expectations because they really make you strive for the best. But anyways, no, I love them. But what I was going to say is, yeah, the financing. You would have to guess if you were an investor in a movie right now, you would have to guess that by the time the movie was done, it would be a year from now. What environment are you putting a movie out in? What platforms are even left? Have they banned conservatives literally completely? Have they banned political documentaries? Have they, you know, how much money can somebody make if it's not on those big platforms?
Didn't they just close down that book publisher?
Maybe.
Like Crescent Books or whatever it is that was publishing a lot of, they published Donald Trump Jr.'s book.
Oh, did they close? I did not hear that.
They fired that woman. They fired whoever was ahead of it. And I don't want to misinform that.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't heard that, but that would make sense.
They fired her, who was like this. She was a big advocate for the conservatives.
Yeah.
And, she was signing them all up for books, including Donald Trump Jr.'s. But so we're going to skip on a little bit. Is that okay?
Yeah, the last thing I'll say about that, though, is that there is something to be a little bit worried about with that. I'm pretty sure not only would it get financed today, but like I know I can raise money for 4 or 5 new movies that we're going to be doing in the next.
Does that mean it would also get distribution?
Yeah, my production company is going to be is going to be churning out content in the next year. Like you have to understand also, like, there is an audience. The entire country is my audience.
But
if
so
Hollywood doesn't want to make movies to sell them, I will do it. Like they're just leaving money on the table. Like it's so crazy.
Let me grill you because I'm really interested because I'm a business guy, right? So let's say you've brought on the money, right? And let's say it's your own production company, and let's say you still need to get distribution, and then beyond distribution, you still need to be profitable, right?
Yeah.
So, those avenues are being foreclosed on very quickly.
Yeah, no, they are. They are. I don't want to say that they're not, but we did that, right? Like we did that with Paddock. Like we raised the money, we got it really big distribution, and it did insanely well. It was the #1 documentary of 2020. The reason we were able to do that and the reason we're able to offer a product that makes a profit is because I think the thing that we learned, or that I learned on this, it sounds a little dry and boring, but it's the key to doing this content, to doing controversial content. And is that I learned how to properly get insured. And that is something I learned in film school. And it was something I knew was going to be the hardest thing with this, because you have to understand the way that they try to take your content down is through legal battles. But knowing how to jump through the hoops ahead of time to ensure controversial, and I say controversial knowing there's nothing controversial about this movie, I mean terms, controversial content, and to be able to have it, you don't have to just give it out for free. You can make a profit, which means you can make more of this kind of movie, which means you're a company that can create this kind of content. And by that point, you've got some solid ground, right? Where you're doing your own distribution potentially, and you're not really stoppable. That's where we want to get. And my production company, which is called 1AM DC, that's what we're doing. So I'm basically in this little downturn right now, finishing up the press for Plot Against the President, and doing CPAC and all that stuff. And then in the next month, we're going to be closing in on all the movies we'll be doing for the next 2 years. Okay. So
I got a question then. Okay. So what's your backup plan in case those payment processors just everything that's kind of collapsing in within itself. What if those have been foreclosed? Are you already examining kind of alternative channels and also alternative payment
I'm
mechanism?
talking to a lot of folks that are Claremont and Claremont adjacent. And by that, I mean those guys, the Claremont Institute folks and folks that are kind of that mindset of like the build new platforms, build new ways to deal with finance. That's kind of this horizon that I'm looking at. My other backup plan is to marry a rich man. So
that's my backup plan also.
I don't know. I mean, that's about it. I don't know if I had to like hang up making movies and just like, settle
I'm not talking about your own. I'm not talking about your own fortune.
It's fine. Like
I'm talking about two different things though. I'm talking about, I want to just kind of leave it to the professional, because I think it's so important what all you guys are doing, and Lee Smith and Alan.
No, it is really important. The platforms really matter. Okay, there is one thing I should probably tell you. You want some breaking news? I've got some breaking news. We were going to tweet about this tomorrow. Amazon has...
It's almost tomorrow. It's almost tomorrow.
I know. Okay, so I can tell you now. Amazon, and I'm pretty sure this is in response to our movie. So my distributor told me this the other day. Amazon has made the unprecedented decision to no longer accept unsolicited, meaning the way that Netflix does. They only take exclusive content, right? They take content that they've made an arrangement for beforehand that they're going to take. The reason that we were able to be on Amazon, obviously, is because certain distributors can put content onto Amazon, and they upload it almost similarly like they do with YouTube. It's just most people don't know it's there, and they don't have the effect that this movie had, where it was able to kind of break the algorithm and become one of the top movies. Anyways, Amazon will no longer be accepting nonfiction films in that they don't commission. So
can you help me understand? Wow, that's a complicated question.
It means they're literally willing to kill off like half the industry to never let this happen again. That's what it looks like to me. I don't want to be nuts and be like, yeah, they did this because of Plot Against the President, but it was their #1 documentary.
What is #1? I'm asking so many questions, and I'm actually going to get to it, but it's such an interesting question, so I'm going to leave this one up here for a bit. Is when you say #1 documentary, first, without kind of intruding too much, tell me what that means in terms of #1 documentary. I know it's a silly question because it's a kind of comparative science, but also, what does it then mean that you were kind of a leading indicator, right? Theoretically, you are a leading indicator for this type of genre and this type of a quality, because it's a high quality piece. And what does it mean that has now been closed up?
Well, luckily, I mean, our film is still on the platform. It's still on Amazon. It's on iTunes as well. What it means to be #1, I mean, it's the most viewed. It may not have made the most money yet because we had it available on Amazon Prime first, before the election and everything, because the goal was to have as many people see it as possible, even if we made money slower. And that was, when you make it available on Amazon Prime, it's free to the customer. You make a little bit of money, but not as much as if you had it for rent or for sale. So, now it's on rent and sale everywhere else, like DVDs, etc. But it means that it got viewed more than any other documentary that year, and it means that there is a massive, hungry audience that wants to see this kind of material. And if you put it out there, word of mouth will get it there. Real quick, like people that make movies of the size of say like Dinesh D'Souza, they spend millions and millions of dollars on an advertising budget. Do you want to know what our advertising budget was? It was zero. It was, wait, you can't see that. Zero. It was zero, because we had, I've worked with social media people my whole life, and like that's our, my whole life, as long as there's been social media. But that's our network of people, and I knew that if it was good, people would talk about it. And that's what I rely on, is when people, this is the kind of movie when people watch it, they talk about it. So, they don't watch it and put it away.
And there's a lot of questions here. We're going to get to them, right? And I'm thank you for breaking that news because it's tomorrow, right? Isn't that cool?
Oh,
So
but Amazon is now killing half the
yeah,
independent
so now,
industry.
what is not just the backup plan, but when you have to forecast of what happens next year, because you're a business person, so you need to have predictability to your revenue, and you need to be able to forecast earnings and such. What are you kind of anticipating in terms of a backup plan?
Well, I mean, there's so many platforms that would have to fail before. I mean, I suppose they could all fail, and then I don't know. I'll go back to having a movie theater in every town or something, or
There's
I'll
no infrastructure for
sell
that.
it at a lemonade stand. I mean, I literally told people, I was like, yeah, if they don't accept this movie, like I'll sell it at a lemonade stand if I have to. I'll still come out on top. But like I I don't know that the censorship is at that point yet, that it's the point of no return. It's close in some ways. I just always think there's a workable option. When there's money to be made, someone's going to want to make it with me. Like, yeah, okay, they're more ideological, like these folks that don't want to pick up the $1 million check sitting on the table, which is giving America content it wants to see. But somebody's going to want to do that. And I don't know, I could come back next year. Let's do this again next year. And I'll tell you if I was right or not. But this is the same conversation we were having before we made the movie, where they were like, it'll never get on any platform. You'll never be able to. I mean, I had guys actually, when we were doing the distribution deal, I had legit, Hollywood distribution companies that were like, here, sell it to us. It'll come out eventually. But we can be sure that, we'll put it on some Cracker Jack distribution thing. And I was like, no, I'm putting this out to like before the election, and it's going to go on Amazon, and it's going to be the #1 movie.